Hello everyone and welcome back to another AFK journey video. In this video, as you can see on the screen, we're going to be talking about temporal essence and which is the priority of how you should be feeding them into your heroes on your account. Basically, I'm going to go through if I had to start an account from scratch knowing what I know now, how would I level up the various heroes on my account. And this is really important because temporal essences are one of the most limited resources in the game. And if you spend them wisely, it will boost your progression by so much. Probably it's the second most important thing after setting a good hero wish list, in my opinion. Okay, now number one thing to mention, I just want to briefly discuss how the temporal essences work. So you will need them to level up an exclusive equipment past +5. And you will need it as long as you continue to upgrade it up until +15. But the major stat boosts that you're going to get on your heroes are going to stop at +8. If we take a look at Nero as an example here, not only is he gaining the main stats, which will always be upgraded each time you boost the level of an exclusive equipment, but up until +8 of the exclusive equipment, he's going to be gaining bonus stats specific to his class. Like here, he's a healer or a support, so healing and crit resist he'll be getting. But if we take a look at the damage dealers, for example, Merrily, and we take a look at all the boosts she got 10% crit and 20% attack speed on top of all of these stat boosts, and this was by getting her to +8. So this will mean if you're looking for maximum stat gains for a hero, +8 is where you're going to want to stop. If you want to go above that, it is because you're looking for an upgrade of their skill, which will happen at the +10 and +15. So with that being said, Merrily, Odie, and Corin are going to be your first 3 heroes you want to upgrade with the temporal essences, and it's because these are your Dream Realm damage dealer heroes. By upgrading them, you're going to earn more temporal essence on a daily basis by ranking a little bit higher in the Dream Realm, and this will be for your whole time playing. So the sooner you can begin building them up to +10 exclusive equipment, the sooner you'll be ranking higher and earning more rewards on your account. So these are the real main only 3 heroes which if you invest into them, they're going to give you more back over your time playing. And that is why they're the top priority, the first priority on your account. Now in terms of who should you level up first, it will just depend on which hero you get to Mythic Plus first on your account. For example, if you get OD to Mythic Plus first, you can take him to +10, and him, Merrily, and Corin are all going to be good options. Now, where should you stop? Because as you can see here, even getting to +15 will give Merrily a reasonable boost, stacking attack speed up by 1%, and it does stack 6 times, so that is going to be in total 6% bonus attack. However, getting from +10 to +15 is extremely expensive. It will cost you 200 temporal essences in order to do that, and it only costs 75 temporal essences to get to +10. So, in my opinion, there are actually very few heroes which should be taken to +15. Now, it isn't a bad option to take her to +15, she will do better, but the boost and the better performance will be so minor in comparison to how much you have to spend that, as you can see on my account, even when we spent quite a bit and we had the resources to get it to +15, we did not do it. She does totally fine at +10. I'm always in the top 10 of Dream Realm, and now we're competing on equal footing in terms of the levels. So at +10, she is basically fully effective. You do not need to take her beyond that, and I don't recommend it because you also never know in the future if she gets power crept by another hero which would do better in the Dream Realm boss. +15 is a huge investment. So I would stay away from +15 on Merrily. And for Odie, now Odie I did take to +15. However, again, I do not think he is so needed to get to +15 because if you take a look at the skills, because when you're taking her to +15, this is the other thing to mention. First of all, it's going to take more temporal essence, and you're only going to gain around 2 to 2.5% of your attack and HP each level up you do. And so even when you do those extra 5 levels, you're only going to get around 10 to 12% bonus attack, which is, in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't mean much. That in the early game, that's just 10 levels on a hero, and now with the charms we have, the charms contribute more percentage attack and attack speed and things, but when you get them to mythical. So really, I do not think a lot of heroes need to go to +15. And Odie, I took him to +15 because I had the resources. The reason why there's a bit of an argument for him to +15 is because he will also perform pretty well in PvP, although he is not the top tier PvP hero. So in my opinion, if I did it again, and if I was definitely on a free-to-play account, I would have stopped at plus 10. No way would I have taken him beyond plus 10, at least for a long time. But he's fine at plus 15. But plus 10, again, you're looking for the skill effects. The problem with plus 15 is it is only amplifying his previous skill effect and increasing by a small amount his execution damage threshold, so he'll execute a bit faster. But for most bosses, especially in endless mode, there's no execution, so that skill has no effect, and you're only leveling him up for these minor stat boosts, which only equate to around 10 to 12%. So in my opinion, plus 10 is where you should stop for OD. Now for Corin, it's even more interesting. We stopped at plus 8. Like I mentioned, this is when you unlock the bulk of your skill upgrades. And I could take him to plus 10, but if we take a look at his skill description, it will increase the additional true damage on his attacks to 2.5% of the target's max HP. But it says nothing about if it will change the cap, because if we look at his original skill description, the extra damage cannot exceed 40% of Corin's attack. Now, if we get him to plus 10, and we're still capped at 40% of Corin's attack, in boss modes which is really the only place Corin shines, he is still going to be capped at 40% of his attack, whether he has 2.5% of the target's max HP or 2%. So that is why I thought you do not need to take him to plus 10, because it would give him a couple, like 2 to 4%, probably with these two levels, 4 or 5% attack. So 40% of his attack would be slightly higher, but by such a small margin. So again, if you're upgrading a hero only for the stat boost, that's when you stop at plus 8. If you're upgrading to unlock an important skill or ability, then you take it to plus 10. And if it is a really crucial one that is needed for plus 15, you can consider plus 15. But yeah, and if we just recap OD, for example, OD's plus 10 gave a very useful effect, 600 initial energy, which allowed him to cast his ultimate and begin stacking the poison faster. So definitely that is a game-changing plus 10 exclusive equipment that you want, and very similar to Merrily. Merrily will stack, she got bonus 2.5% attack per stack by getting her to plus 10. Originally it was 5% per stack, goes up to 7.5, and because it stacks 6 times 2.5 is 15%. So on top of the stat boost you're also getting this bonus 15% attack stacking, so it was definitely worth it for them. But for Corin, in my opinion, it is not worth it, and again, with these monsters, I'm always in the top 10 of Dream Realm. So you do not need to go above this, and OD could have stopped at plus 10. Okay, now these 3 are going to be sorted. These are the first 3 you want to upgrade to pass with the temporal essences on your account. You can take other heroes to plus 5 because that will only require the title, the blue essences, and that is totally fine. And there's no issue doing that. But again, be wary and try to save enough so that when you get your Corin or Merrily or OD to Mythic Plus, you will have enough title essences. You will need 150 in total in order to get them to plus 5. Because those are your top 3 priorities to get upgraded as quickly as you can. Now those heroes are covered. Now it will begin working on PvP heroes, because what is left is basically only the PvP options. And I'm going to talk about, in my opinion, the team that you should be shooting for in PvP, even as a free-to-play player, will be the Aridan Nuke team. Because with the Aridan Nuke team, which if I'll just list the heroes, Thorin, Aridan, Carolina, Damian, Aridan, these 5. With this team, even now, even though like I think we're 4 months into playing this game, there is someone who has become inactive. He is still holding top 10 of Arena, just with the Aridan Nuke team. No Paragons, just Aridan Nuke team upgraded in exclusive equipment, some to plus 10, some to plus 5. It is a very effective team, and over time, if you have them on your wish list throughout your time playing, eventually you will get them there. And so I want to talk about them. So Aridan is going to be a key hero that you will want to take to plus 10, because it will double his immobilization duration from 3 seconds to 6 seconds. So when you're talking about PvP heroes at plus 10, they should get a very meaningful new skill effect by taking them there. If they don't, then you should stop at plus 8. Because like we said, plus 8 is when you unlock the bulk of your stat increases. Also, it's the cheapest to get them to plus 8. It only costs 30 temporal essences total to take one hero from plus 5 to plus 8. But it takes another 45 to get them from plus 8 to plus 10. So plus 8 to plus 10 is a big, will require a lot of investment, and only do it if they have a very meaningful skill. So Aridan is a great example, and Aridan is a hero which is usable throughout the game. Even on heavy spenders account, Aridan is going to be a part of some of the strongest defenses they can put together, and also he's very viable in PvP, and even in AFK stage pushing, he is one of the most commonly used heroes. So Aridan would be a very good candidate plus 10. Probably in my opinion, he would be the first one I take to plus 10 in terms of PvP after you're done with your dream run. And that is a really good option. Apart from that, if we take a look at the other heroes, Damian is going to be... So Damian, and when we're talking about PvP as well, you need to keep a hero tier list in mind. We made a hero tier list recently, like about a week ago, and that's pretty up to date, so you can check that out. But basically, you want to know which are the strongest heroes in the game, because they're the most likely to have long-term value on your account. The heroes from lower tiers in PvP, they may get replaced by future heroes which are released, and so that is why you want to be a bit careful, because when you are investing these temporal essences, they should be in a hero which you're never going to replace or you're going to use for a very long time, because this is a lot of resources you're going to have to spend. So Damian. Now, the thing with Damian, honestly, if you take a look at his skill, plus 10 exclusive equipment, it is not a big boost. Already, it was 40 haste, and now it will be boosted to 50 haste. It's not a meaningful increase, so I would probably take him to plus 8, even though Damian, in my opinion, is one of the top 3 heroes in the game. Even as an A-level hero, I think he's one of the top 3 heroes out of everything in the game, even including Celestial Hypogeans. He's used so much, and he is so unique. Maybe I'm a bit overvaluing him, but honestly, he's insane. So even for him, you could stop at plus 8. It is not a meaningful upgrade for upgrading 40 haste to 50 haste. So you need to be very, very critical of the skill upgrades and decide, is it really worth it? So Carolina, again, I like this increase, not to plus 15. Do not take it to plus 15. That was a major mistake I made on my account. Plus 10 is where you should stop with her, but I do think plus 10 is pretty meaningful. An increase in the magic defense reduction from 15 to 25% is a pretty big upgrade, and especially when you're talking about the Aridan nuke team, which centers around magical damage. She is just going to increase all of the damage from all of your sources on your team. So I think her to plus 10 is one of the top priorities. Definitely Aridan is much more important, but Carolina eventually would not be bad. Aridan as well is also a pretty good candidate for plus 10, because it increases the duration of crowd control, and again, just like Aridan's immobilization, Aridan's increased duration of entangling roots, these are going to be very game-changing for how your fight plays out, because more lockdown means a higher potential, to beat the opponent, and it just makes your defense a lot stronger. So I do think that those are good options to plus 10. Another really good option to plus 10, although this will probably be down the road. This is not going to be one of the first heroes you build up. But Hain's plus 10 is pretty amazing, because it will cause her ultimate cast to also give revitalize buffs onto all of the allies. So already when you have her at Mythic Plus, she will have this reduced damage taken by your team, 30% less damage. So the 34% less damage from plus 10 hardly changes anything, but getting the buff from Revitalize is a pretty big deal. Because if you look at the Revitalize skill, it will grant them a healing bonus, but I don't think that is going to be applied, because it just says the buffs from Revitalize. But it will remove all their dispellable debuffs, and I think that is the major effect of it. But either way, she is a good target to plus 10 because of that, and as of right now, Hain is one of the top, in my opinion, S plus heroes in PvP, because she is the best stall healer in the game, and she is the best at protecting your team and keeping them alive. She is the top tier PvP hero, PvP healer right now. Granny is also a very strong hero. Although she's not a big priority to get to plus 10, she does get a meaningful upgrade unaffected when skill takes effect, which previously that is not unlocked until you get her to +10. But with a lot of these heroes, you're going to leave them at +5 for a long time. And in my opinion, it's going to be your Iron nuke team, which you're going to upgrade first, which will be Iron, Aridan. Damian can only be the +8, but you want your key PvP team to be +8 on everyone at least, because those stat boosts are going to make a difference, and they're not too expensive to get. Caroline as well, when you get her to Mythic Plus, +10 will be important for her. And Thorin does not need +10. You would just take him to +8. Because if we take a look at his +10, increase the healing amount that Thorin receives from the allies' damage dealt to 30%. Previously, the healing amount was... Take 50% damage when Thorin sacrifices 85% of current HP. Oh no, previously it was 25% of the damage dealt by this ally heals Thorin, and it upgrades to 30%. This is not a meaningful skill boost, so you would just want to take him to +8 to get maximum like vitality from his stats, and then stop there. Don't take him to +10. And you might think, oh, but then we get he looks cooler at 3 stars, take him to +10. Don't spend 45 temporal essences just for 3 stars. And this is, obviously, I am saying this, now I would not do it, but previously I also fell into the same trap. So I'm trying to give the advice for people who are early. Like for example with Brutus, I use him in PvP, but I don't care about his +10, so I'm leaving him at +8 to get his stat bonuses. So with a lot of heroes, similar with Igor, but Igor I kind of like his +10, but I just don't want to invest that much into him right now. So the key thing hopefully you can take away from this video is that a lot of heroes are fully functional and viable at +5. There's honestly quite few heroes which get a major skill boost by getting to +10, but we have mentioned some of them here. And if they don't get a major stat boost by getting to +10, you should get them to +8 to get the maximum stat bonuses for not a really high price of only 30 temporal essences, and never take them beyond that. Like Thorin should have never been at +10. Honestly, I can even make the argument Damian should never be at +10, but a 10 haste boost, it might make a difference, and Damian is a top tier hero, so I do like him at +10. Brutus, probably never +10. Corin, in my opinion, never +10. So there are a lot of heroes which are perfectly good at +8 for the maximum stat boost in terms of how much you have to spend on them. But then there are certain heroes which do unlock very meaningful +10 upgrades like Iron and Aridan, more crowd control, and Carolina, more defense reduction, pretty useful. And Sylvina. Sylvina is a hero which at her +10 becomes pretty strong. She will have a frighten for 4 seconds when the marked enemy is defeated. So that is a pretty strong effect, and that is why I got her to +10, and she is a key PvP hero. But again, for a long time I had her at +8 just for the stat boost, because it's only when you have extra temporal essences to spend that you can use it on all of these other heroes. So there are some other heroes we can briefly talk about. Koko at +10 is really nice, only for PvP though. And for the most part, Koko is more of a PvE hero, but if you're using her in PvP, then she removes all ally hero control effects. So kind of like the revitalized buff of hain when she casts, or when casting her ultimate. Full energy, right? Is her ultimate? Yeah. And apart from that, Shakir at +10 is pretty good because he gives attack buff to nearby allies. He shares his lupine aura, shares the attack bonus from Wolf's Will, which is his other skill, which gives him an attack bonus depending on how many allies are within a close range. So this is good. However, it's mainly a PvP use because right now Shakir is not a top hero in the Dream Realm, even though previously he was. So, but it is a meaningful upgrade, a skill upgrade, so he should be something you keep on your radar for upgrades to +10. Don't get Smokey to +10 in my opinion. I only did it because I was doing so much AFK stage pushing. It is useful for PvP mainly only, and the issue with Smokey is honestly, he is not the greatest for these long, like he can work, in a long drawn out fight, but from a lot of different Supreme Arena matches I've faced so far, usually the match never goes long enough for him to even get his blue aura enhancement. And if the match does go long enough for him to get the blue aura enhancement, you've probably already won the match. So that's my issue with Smokey. Although Smokey is a great hero, and it is, he adds a stun chance onto his blue enhanced aura, but he will need to get enough cast to get his blue aura in the first place in order for that to work. But anyway guys, hopefully this gave you a good idea of which heroes you can try to prioritize and how far you should take them. Now if we're talking about plus 15 exclusive equipment upgrade, honestly, I do not think there's any real major important target. If you read the skill description of so many different heroes getting taken to plus 15, none of them really like this Iron effect hardly matters compared to before, and now you're gonna spend 200 temporal essences only for like the 10 to 12% stab boost like we talked about, like around 2% or 2.5% each level. And that is such a minor stab boost, because you can make up a lot of that just from the charms you equip onto your heroes. So I do not recommend, honestly, many heroes to plus 15. I would, if I had to do it again and I had limited resources, I don't think I would take any hero to plus 15. Maybe Scarlita if I had Scarlita, because I just want her to be a beast as strong as she can be. But the other ones, they're totally functional at plus 10. And taking them beyond that is just really expensive, and it would have just been better for you to upgrade another hero to plus 8 or to plus 10. But anyway guys, that's gonna be it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe because we upload daily AFK journey videos. But I will hopefully see you guys in the next video, and until then, everyone, peace out for now, and thank you for watching.